Oftentimes, when we choose a career, we hardly think about the dangers associated with that particular career. Yes, we look at the glamorous side and the side that looks enticing and interesting. Yes, one of the opportunities that writing brought for me was having a career in journalism. In my late 20s, I got a job in a national media house in Lagos. I got a job, a print media house, and got the job. I was an investigative journalist. So, as you know, when you're in any career, the right thing to do is to look for ways in which you can deepen your experience, you can learn other things within that your career, you want to find out opportunities. So something came up. They were looking for, it was a workshop for investigative journalists, and I applied. It was one of the best workshops at that time. I applied, and I was surprised because I applied, but I didn't really put that much effort. I just thought, oh, let me just apply. You know, the way you apply without really putting that much effort. So when I was called to be part of the participants, I was shocked. And that time I wasn't in Lagos, I was in another city. So when I got the notice, I didn't have time to go back to Lagos. So I just had to take what I had with me and just go straight to Ibadan for the registration. So when I got to Ibadan, something happened at first that I just didn't like. I just didn't like the situation. They told us that they had to pair us in a room, and to me, I was like, in fact, till date, I've never gone for a workshop or a training where I had to be paired up with a stranger, someone I have not, someone that I'm, like a total stranger. So I didn't like it, and I wanted to start complaining, but something told me that just don't complain. And I felt like if I complained, I will start, because I have to stay with that person for 2 3 days or 4 days that the workshop was holding, and it will now have a bad vibe, bad atmosphere, and I didn't want to create it. And besides, it wasn't her fault, so I decided to accept it the way it was, and it was one thing that helped me. I will tell you why as we go along. So it was a 4 day workshop, I think. So on the second or the first day, I think it was on the second day, they now gave us an opportunity. They were like, would you would you do you prefer to get your stipend around on the third day or on the fourth day? Would you, so normally when they ask those kind of questions, I mean, they want to give you money. The average person will like, I beg, I want to get my money today, just in case the money gets finished before the next day. Then it was that time that they used to give cash. It's not like now where they pay money into people's account. Then they used to give cash. So they were like, should we give you your money today or tomorrow? Something just told me, take it tomorrow. And I was wondering, it looked very convenient, for me to take it on that particular day, but something just told me, take it tomorrow. So I was not wondering to myself, is it that the lady that was staying with me, is it like she steals money or something? But but I was wondering, but I just obeyed that voice, and I decided to take the money the next day. And that was one of the best decisions I took. And you will know as I will speak along. But one thing I want people to know, sometimes that thing we call instinct we have to listen to our instincts very well. Some people will call it divine intervention. I believe it's more of divine intervention. Some people will say it's their instinct. But when you hear that voice telling you what to do sometimes and you don't know why, especially if it's a voice that you've been hearing before, it's not like you just hear it suddenly. You've been hearing before, you are used to the voice, please listen. So I just obeyed, and I did not collect my money that day. That fateful night, the room was broken into. And it's so funny. In the hotel we were staying, it wasn't like a first class hotel, but it was an very okay hotel. And the security system seemed to be very tight. To enter that room, you had to use a card. But with just one shove, one opening, that's how the door opened that particular night. And luckily too, I wasn't dressed in my birthday suit. You know what a birthday suit is? If I was alone in that room, because I did not carry my nightwear, because I traveled to a town, not where I was staying, I would have just said, oh, since I'm alone, let me just be on my birthday suit. But that was what saved me. I was with somebody, so I did not wear my birthday suit. Just imagine how it would have been. A group of men will enter a room and they see a young girl in her 20s, bare. The likelihood of something bad happening would have occurred, you understand? So that was another luck. So that was another divine intervention. I don't want to be calling these things luck. Let's be able to differentiate the two. So when they entered, immediately I was dressed up and all that, and I was scared. I was so scared. The lady beside me was shaking. In fact, we both woke up. I screamed and I woke up. It sounded like someone else screamed, but later I realized that I was the one that screamed. So I got up and they started giving instruction, do this, do that, do that. At first, I was really scared, and that voice again was telling me that calm down, don't worry, calm down. I tried, they told me to open a cupboard. I couldn't open it. I don't know, my hands were shaking. And that voice said, try again, you'll be able to open it. So I opened it and they collected what they collected. Fortunately, I didn't have my money, my stipend with me. It was a huge, it's an equivalent of about 300,000 or 350,000 of today. That was the amount that we were supposed to be given. So it was quite something, at least, or for my level, it was quite something. So the lady unfortunately had collected her money that day, so they collected it. And I had some small cash that they collected, but nothing significant. They didn't collect anything significant for me. And when they now ransacked the place, got what they got, they now left. Now, when they left, the lady beside me was really shaking, she was still in shock. And now something told me, that voice told me that don't be here, go inside into the bathroom, because the place was still open. They had opened the door, they had broken into the room. The door was wide open, and I felt we were still exposed because there were others still doing, they were about like a group of about 30 men with sophisticated weapons. The weapons were so sophisticated that the policeman that saw the weapons, he was wearing plain clothes or they would have finished him, was like, oh my goodness, I've not seen that kind of gun before. You can imagine a policeman admiring guns that armed bandits, armed robbers were carrying, because the police force, they are not well equipped. It was a shame to me. And he kept on exclaiming, see guns, after the incident. Now, let me go back to the main story. So I decided to enter the bathroom, and that was one of the best decisions I took. And of course, the lady followed me. I told her, be calm, don't worry. But she was still shaking, so scared. So another set of guys were now coming, like three, not the same ones that entered, but they were like looking at the room as per, did have somebody not entered this particular room? So they now decided to enter. Now, as they entered, something told me, one of the voices, they were like 3 or 4 people. One of the voices I heard, something told me, if you see that particular guy, he's going to make you unalive. Now, I don't really know why. I can't say exactly why, but I'm sensing is that person is someone I know, because I actually schooled in Ibadan. So maybe I had met the person when I was in school, and if the person saw me, of course, the person would just make me unalive and just execute me. Because if you see somebody like that, you will report to the police by the time the police people start asking questions. So as he was coming, and something also told me that guy was a very wicked person. So they were now coming, they were now talking, conversing among themselves. Then one of them now said something like, let's go into the bathroom, or make we enter the bathroom in Pidgin. I don't know which language they spoke now, or maybe it was even Yoruba. Let's go into the bathroom. So as they were about to enter, it was time for them to go. The other bandits in the other parts of the hotel that were ransacking and disturbing people were now saying, hey, my lord, they were now speaking Yoruba. They were now calling their names. And there's one very funny thing about bandits and all these people. They don't bear their real names when they go for operation, because their real names will give clues about who they are. So they have nicknames. So they were like Thunder, Shadow, Jekalo, Malo, something like that. Jekala. And there was also something I noticed, as they were talking, you could sense the fear. They had fear in their mind. So whatever you are doing, if you are not doing the right thing, you will not have peace. You could see that they were scared, even though they were the ones with the ammunition, they were the ones with the guns, and they now left. Just as they were about to enter, that was when they started shouting, let's go, let's go. So they never entered the bathroom. They never saw me. I never saw them. I never saw them. So I don't have an idea who those second set of armed bandits or armed robbers were. But something happened, and I want to give a good story, good news, that at the end of the day, nobody was harmed. Nobody was assaulted. You know what that means, especially for females. Nobody was assaulted. Nobody was harmed. We all were safe, at least to a large extent. Maybe people sustained a few injuries or whatever, but it was nothing that was major. Now, 2 or 3 days later, most likely the same set of robbers went to another hotel close to like 2 doors away from the hotel we stayed, and 2 or 3 of them were made unalive. The police caught them, and they were made unalive. And when the first set came, something also remarkable happened. Something was telling me that out of the 3 that came, one of them was not supposed to be with them. For some reason, maybe he had bad friends or some circumstance in his life, he was not supposed to be part of them, but he followed them that day. And when they now told me how three of them were made alive later, in my mind, I was saying, I hope he's not one of them. I hope that particular person is not one of them. I don't know how I know some of these things, but my instinct told me that the first set, one of them that came, is not supposed to be part of the gang. He was supposed to be doing something else, but maybe bad friends or whatever led him to that point. So sometimes in life, when you see people doing some things, you imagine that that is what they really wanted to do, or that's what they really want to do. But sometimes circumstances can make certain things happen in life. That is why, as much as possible, we should try to, as an older person, I try to guide younger people right. I also try to help them learn from my mistakes, especially in this channel is about your career. There are many mistakes I made in my career. There are many things in my career I did that also helped me. That is what I share regularly on this channel. Once in a while, I also talk about relationships and how it affects your career, because relationships and career, they are things that are very essential in life. So till I see you in the next video where I say share something equally useful, be